The time is just gone 16 minutes past 8 a.m. as we kick off this morning, taking a look now, today being the 5th of August, relevant and maximum global attention is called for the plight of the Kashmiris. And this is the campaign that is run under the banner of hashtag Red for Kashmir. We joined on the line this morning by the chairman of the South African Kashmir Action Group, Salman Khan. Salman, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brother, comrade, and Mujahid Islam for Kashmir, Inayet Wadee, and Islam to you and to the rest of all the beautiful listeners of Islam Media.
Yes, we welcome you to the show. Now, obviously, today being the 5th of August and calling for this global attention. But before we get to the campaign, Salman, we just wanted to get a quick update on the latest developments in Kashmir. And why this is so relevant is we know the draconian action that was taken by the Indian government with Kashmir, the curfews and all the restrictions that has gone with the Kashmiri people. And what is the latest situation?
Brother, in the short interview like this, punching up everything, all the expect will be very difficult. But let me try to be as succinct as possible. The thing, what has been happening for the last 73 years is continued to be the same. The Kashmiri lost their freedom of life, to freedom of speech, to freedom of association, freedom of choice, everything from the 1947 onward. And until today, exactly the same thing. The only thing is become a little bit more different from the 5th of August, that it's become like a double curfew. Like we had a lockdown level 5, which is the last year that was introduced during the pandemic. They had even the more severe one, because the Kashmir been suffering for the martial law and the lower level 3 or level 4 lockdown for the last 73 years. But what became a very harsh reality, because of the fear by the Modi government that the people of Kashmir will rise and they will resist, and they're still resisting the abrogation of the Article 370. So the situation in Kashmir, it is not getting any better. The lockdown of the internet and the most of the telecommunication has been continued. There is no medical supplies. Every 4,000 patients, there is a one doctor available. And of course, every 70,000 Kashmiris, there is a one ventilator. And then, the people who are going through the COVID in South Africa, they will realize it. They will know exactly what it is like to have a one ventilator, which needs to be shared between the 70,000 people. And of course, that is a systematic genocide is in making. What is the problem at the moment that we face is that India is still maintaining that their illegal occupation of Kashmir, as their minister in the United Nations have declared, after receiving a report, a very damaging and damning report from the European Union Human Rights Council, that the situation in the Jammu occupied Kashmir is very bad, and human rights, the abuses are continued, and India must do something and give us free and fair access to the European, the Human Rights Commission. And this is an internal affair, and it is not an internal affair. It is internationally recognized, as Inayet Wadee, that is internationally recognized disputed territory of Jammu and Kashmir, which is the size of 86,000 kilometers, 3 times the size of a Belgium. So yeah, the curtailing of the human right, the basic human right. When the European or a civilized world or Western world, they talk about the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights and the ICCPR, they talk about the basic human right, and every single stipulation of the UDHR, Universal Declaration of the Human Rights, which is the 30 articles, and ICCPR 53 articles, every single article has been trampled upon by the Modi government for the last 73 years, and it's become even more harsh because now the police, under the draconian laws, have allowed even the police, not only the military, to kill. So the mothers are forced to actually, the families are forced to bury their loved one into the house, in the back house. The mother cannot get the baby formula. The elderly or the people on a chronic medicine, they cannot get any medicine. But, the tyranny is the United Nations is quiet, South African government is quiet, European Union is making a little bit of a noise. And don't talk about the OIC because they are avoiding the Modi government with the with the gold medals than to actually condemn. So this is what the current situation is.
Yes. Now, also, Salman, I see what the Indian government has been trying to do is try and cut Kashmir off from the rest of the world as well. And even when it comes to sports, for instance, we've heard about the Kashmir cricket, the Premier League. And we've seen the tweet come through from South African cricketer Herschel Gibbs, where they are also putting pressure on individuals and sports people to have absolutely nothing to do with Kashmir.
It's very true. I mean, the Kashmiris have a right to self-determination. They have a right for sport and culture facilities and everything. And this league is in the Azad Kashmir because Pakistan, whatever the area that is being protected by Pakistan, Pakistan have declared it as the Azad Kashmir or independent Kashmir. They have their own legislative, the authority. They have their own parliament. They have an election, and they want to play the cricket on the international level. And they have launched, which is I think is going to be tomorrow or today, the opening game of KPL, which is a Kashmir Premier League, and international players are joining. And one of them is Herschel Gibbs, who will be overseas warrior, one of the team. And he has been threatened by the BCCI, which is the Board of Control of the Cricket in India, that if any player will go and support and play, they will be banned from the Indian, the Premier League, and they will also using the influence in the ICC, which is the international, the cricket council, that this the league, the Kashmir Premier League must not be played. So the tyranny and the influence, what the problem is in advice. Even though South African government, when you talk to them, they look at the human rights and they look at the economic gain. And unfortunately, the world for the last 5 decades has been moving, and then the most of the countries have adopted the new liberalism of the political dispensation. And one of the key elements of the new liberalism is the political economy. The economy drives the foreign policy, economy drives the human rights policy, economic drives everything else. So it blinded the people, even the South Africa, which is highly, I would say, respected for the human rights protection. When it's come to the Kashmir, they keep it quiet. They don't want to say anything because the vested interest of the economic activities between India and South Africa, and so does to the American. American have a very big, America's biggest export of their finished product or the capital goods is India. So the economic gain over the blood of Kashmiri, and that's where it is the tyranny. So now India is using influence because it is a soft diplomacy. When a KPL will take off, international community will learn about Kashmir, and the more people learn about the Kashmir, the more people will be joining the thing. So today is the symbolic day that after 73 years, or let's say 72 years, the previous year, that India, which provided the Kashmir a Article 370 in their own Constitution 35A, that the Kashmiri we will not give the Kashmiri a right to decide. We will not give them the right of self-determination. But what we give it to them, that is in 1954, the Nehru amended the Constitution, said, you got autonomy. You do whatever you want to do, only telecommunication, the fiscals and the military. We will control, rest is yours. That autonomous status was taken away by the Kashmiri, and now the Kashmiri have no right on their own land. Before, they were not allowed to, Indian citizen was not allowed to buy, so the whole domicile has changed, the demography has changed, and India has quietly make a unilateral decision. But the United Nations Secretary General has said this is a unilateral decision, it is an illegal decision, and the ICC have asked Indian Supreme Court that you have gone against the very grain of your own law and constitution. And Indian government or the Indian Supreme Court or the judges are fearful for their life. They are not giving the verdict to call it was illegal move, because according to the Indian Constitution, when they make amendment, that any further changes to this arrangement will be done only through the due consultation of the Kashmir Parliament and the Kashmir Legislative Authority. What happened is 24 hours before, all the political leaders and all the parliamentarian was put into the house arrest or into the jails. Until today, that are still in the house arrest and jail. So that is legally has been challenged from the ground in Kashmir, in India as well as internationally. So we're waiting for that to come up, and India has caught into the between. Now, coming back to your point earlier that you made about Red for Kashmir, I don't associate with any campaign which is looking for the divergence or looking for a disintegration of a Kashmir struggle, because there is another NGO is running the Kashmir Bleed Red, the Green, and then another one. What I support, and I support Red for Kashmir, I support Red for Green, or whatever the case is, as long it's talk about Kashmir right of self-determination, and then we leave it for the people of Kashmir to decide what they want to do. So yes, I'm in for any campaign which is opposing, but associating myself with any one color. I'm in a position of a leadership, want to take this liberation movement forward rather than be stuck with a color or any slogan which create a diversion or disintegration to the Kashmir liberation.
Yes. Now, obviously, looking at this red alert, looking at the Red for Kashmir campaign, and it is primarily, Salman, aimed at social media, looking at people, as far as the social media profiles are concerned, red alert, and also at the same time looking at some of the other issues like, for instance, sharing pictures and more importantly, it's an awareness campaign, for want of a better term.
It is true. It is true. And then I take my hat off to the people behind, and I've been working along with it. But as I say, like I cannot associate with the one small or any NGO. Those are the NGOs. Those are popping up every day, and they actually diluting the message. Some of them, they are diluting the message of Kashmir. So we need to be very, very careful. How do we run the campaign internationally? I have been tweeting for the Red for Kashmir. I've been tweeting for the the Green for Kashmir, or anybody who would like to raise the awareness for a Kashmir. I'm in for it. But for South African Kashmiri Action Group or Kashmir Global Movement to associate solely and support one cause, it is not possible. But we support every cause. Everybody who raised the issue of Kashmir, it's welcome, and we appreciate and we thank you, and we move forward along with them. But nobody can take a center stage and say that we are the sole proprietor of Kashmir struggle. That is not possible. Why? Because that is going to create the divergence, and that is going to create anarchy between the activists. And we are saying, let's unify it, and thank you very much for your effort, and continue your good effort without being divisive in any form or any way. But end of the day, from the South Africa, we also need to raise awareness. We need to stand up with the people of Kashmir. Since one of the national cricketer, has put his foot down and he say it is unnecessary for India to get involved into such a petty things and try to stop and threatening him to do. And I think not only South Africa, maybe the Herschel Gibb, who is not even a Muslim, who is taking a part into this tournament. I think I'm calling on to the Hashim Amla and then the most of our cricketers in South Africa to take action against India and also join in solidarity and play. Because look, the Lord Peter Haynes, when the Rugby World Cup was happening in England and the South Africa went to play, he caused a commotion. He went to the parliament and he get them to be boycotted from the from the World Cup rugby. I think it was in 70s, and that took the whole of the Europe into this political, what you call it, instance against South Africa. And I think we need to use it. It is a high time that South Africa, from the sport fraternity, need to take a high ground onto it. Like the people kneel down for the person who died in America, can't remember his name, but we need to put our knee down and saying enough is enough in Kashmir, and the Indian must respect the human rights and the human dignity in Kashmir.
Salman, Jazakallah khairan so much for that, and as always for your time with us here on Salam Media for the update. We wish you all the best, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair, and keep praying for us, keep tweeting whatever the color you like. Tweet for Kashmir, as long as you're raising the awareness of Kashmir. May Allah Ta'ala reward you, and may Allah Ta'ala reward all the people, especially, our dear comrade. You pay the tribute to the Ibrahim Wada. We miss him dearly. He was one of the hell of a supporter for Kashmir, and hopefully many people will be supporting us. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salman Khan joining us this morning, and obviously this awareness campaign, and that's today, the 5th of August, for maximum global attention. And the request has been to turn all social media profiles to red, to alert the world of the danger faced by Kashmiris and to show international solidarity. Also requesting to upload your red posters to social media or red theme posts. It's important to add hashtag red for Kashmir. And also at the same time, there have been calls for sharing of any demonstration pictures, vlogs or Virgils with the hashtag Red for Kashmir. The time is just gone, 8:31 a.m. We come back. We'll be talking about Sudan taking its first step towards joining the International Criminal Court. We'll be talking with independent political analyst